one of the most important parts of being a legendary fighter is having a really cool nickname. The Black Swordsman, the Warrior of Light, Mustachio Furioso. These are absolutely vital to be taken seriously. And as far as nicknames go, Marisa the Crimson Flash is one of the cooler sounding ones in the franchise. Unfortunately, Marisa falls into the same pool as Roy and Amelia, where her poor unit performance overrides most of any character discussion she has in the fandom. But just like Roy, there's actually a lot more to Marisa than just being a poor sword unit. So today, I wanted to take a look at Marisa, go over her supports, and show that there's actually a bit more to her character than you would think, and show that she actually supports world building in Sacred Stones, as crazy as that sentence is. And remember, if you don't like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, I'm gonna Crimson Flash you. Wait, that sounds like I'm pulling my cock out. No, I'm just threatening to kill you.
There is no meme. This is just a threat.
Marisa has two different introductions in Sacred Stones, as she's recruited in the Erica and Ephraim route split about a third of the way through the game. And on Erica route, she has the most Fire Emblem introduction of all time. She gets a brief scene before the map begins talking to an enemy soldier, where he remarks that she's part of Gerik mercenaries, and then you talk to her with Gerik, he goes, "Huh, the guild bungled, you should be on our side," and then she joins your side. It's not that it's the worst recruitment in the series, it's very standard in fact. The problem is, Inez, Gerik, and Tethys just had arguably one of the best introductions to a group of characters in the entire series just a minute before this happens, so Marisa feels incredibly lackluster by comparison. It does let a bit of her character shine through. She has a very no-nonsense approach with the enemy soldier, and with Gerik, she joins him at the drop of a hat and shows her loyalty to him, but it's really not that impressive. The only impressive thing about her recruitment is how, when I was a kid, I ended up killing her without realizing you could recruit her. Which is crazy, given that they literally name-dropped Gerik in her introduction scene, but I was one stupid 7-year-old. Not much has changed, honestly. Marisa's appearances on Ephraim route are actually kind of funny if you think about them. Her first appearance is in a village on Chapter 10, where she remarks that she has a hero crest that she can't use yet, so she just gives it to you and leaves. Now this is weird and funny for a few reasons. One, how does she know that she can't use that hero crest? In gameplay, you have to be level 10 or higher. Does that mean in-universe, people wake up, look at themselves in the mirror, and go, "Yeah, I'm level 10," so they know they can use a promotion item? Does this also mean that a fighter like Garcia or Bartray legally isn't allowed to use a bow until he's this preordained level 10? What does any of that mean? The lore implications are disconcerting. And on top of that, why would she not just hold on to it until she's level 10? Why does she just give it to a stranger? That makes no sense.
That's my ice cream cone.
Great! Now let him have it!
You can have it.
Her actual recruitment follows a similar theme of her recruitment in Erica route, where she's fighting with Grotto's army because of a mix-up with the guild, and it's Ewan that has to come over and tell her about the mix-up. This is also funny if you think about it, because why are they sending the 12-year-old to go into an active war zone to talk to Marisa? Isn't there someone in the mercenary guild a bit more qualified than that? And on top of that, Chapter 12 is the map where Reeve shows up and summons his undead monsters. So that means Marisa is fighting with Grotto's army, sees half of them get replaced by zombies, man-eating cyclopses, and evil hellhounds, and just goes, "Yep, another Thursday." Like, seriously, that triggered no red flags in her mind, and I think that's really funny. And now that she's in the player's army, I guess I should go over that god-awful unit performance that everyone talks about. She is a Game Boy Advance Myrmidon, already not a good sign. But on top of that, she shows up at roughly the same level and stat line as Joshua did, another Myrmidon who shows up 5 to 7 chapters earlier than her. and she's not noticeably better than him in really any way that matters. So you waited 5 chapters for a worse version of a unit you've had for a while. Her class isn't good, her stat line is okay if you level her up, but enemies in Sacred Stones are so slow that a speed specialist like Marisa doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter that she has like 20 million speed, if 16 speed is enough to double pretty much everything in the game. Now, being a weak, underleveled unit is not a death sentence in and of itself, but Marisa's also hyped up in the writing of the game as this legendary mercenary. So when you actually try and use her and she's not that great, it does leave a very bad taste in a lot of players' mouths. But there's a lot more to her than that, so let's get right into her supports. I want to start with her support with Tethys, her fellow mercenary, as I feel like it's a support that shows off a good amount of both their characters. The C support is about Tethys noticing that Marisa is left-handed, and wonders how she's able to sleep completely still with her left arm facing up. Marisa says it's so that she can grab her sword at a moment's notice, and that her father made her sleep on a bed with blunt swords on both sides to stop her from moving in her sleep. Tethys tries to bring up how absolutely crazy that sounds, but Marisa says the swords weren't any real danger, and she no longer moves in her sleep at all as an adult, and Tethys takes some pity on her, saying that at least Tethys was able to sleep freely as a child. And keep in mind, Tethys' backstory is about how she was abandoned on the streets as a child and had to raise her baby brother Ewan since she was like 12. So she's taking pity on Marisa's childhood. And that's actually the bit I was talking about at the start of the video with world building. And it's no secret that Sacred Stones does not have good world building. It doesn't really even try. But I feel like Johanna is sneakily really good at it. The main Johannan character is Joshua, who's the prince that left his home 10 years prior to the start of the game, feeling that he needed to learn about his people while wandering the streets with them, and realizing how much suffering there is in his country and how to help them. And they don't show this by you going through the dilapidated streets of a Johanna town or anything, they show it through the characters. Marisa had to be trained from childhood to be a mercenary because that's all you can be in Johanna. You have to sell your body to fight, otherwise you're not making any money. Tethys was dumped on the street and abandoned with her baby brother. Gerik had to join the mercenaries to try and get his friend to not run off and get killed, even though his friend runs off and gets killed. Every Johannan character's life kinda fucking sucks, so when Joshua talks about wanting to improve their station, you actually can completely understand what he's saying if you've read the supports of the Gerik mercenaries. I think it's a subtle thing that gets overlooked when talking about Joshua's character, and I think Marisa really helps strengthen that. Going back to her conversation with Tethys, I really like how organic the friendship feels. There are some conversations that are just simple, Tethys noticing that Marisa's left-handed and chit-chatting about that, and then there's a serious conversation at the very end, where Tethys asks if Marisa believes in reincarnation. And Marisa is one of those people that think once you die, it's into the black void of nothingness for you. There's nothing after death, so just live your life to the fullest while you've got it. I like seeing two characters have a back and forth about this, and it helps you get into their headspace. Marisa's obsession with being an incredible sword fighter makes a lot more sense when you realize she thinks if she dies, there's nothing for her. No heaven, no hell, no rebirth. She genuinely thinks this life is all she's got, so that's why she wants to become stronger, so that she can live her life as she wants. And for those looking for something a bit less serious, the support ends with a comedic note, as Tethys remarks that she and Marisa are in love with the same man, their Captain Gerik, and Marisa gets incredibly flustered and tries to end the conversation immediately, because unlike Tethys, Marisa is not so quick to admit it. It's a silly way to end it, and honestly, a conversation going from incredibly serious to something stupid and silly at the drop of a hat is the kind of representation of how actual friends communicate that I don't think I see very often. Next up, let's tackle Marisa's other big friendship that she makes, Princess Tana. Now with Tethys, the two of them had already been friends for some time. We didn't see how the extroverted Tethys adopted Marisa as a friend, but with Tana, we see that happen from the ground up. Tana starts by trying to make friendly conversation, and Marisa just kind of brushes her off, going that she's not there to be friendly, she's just there because she's getting paid. You know, you've seen this mercenary spiel before from a ton of other characters. The icebreaker ends up being Tana's Pegasus, as Marisa is very interested to see one up close, and from there they finally get to talking, with Tana admitting she wants to be a great Pegasus knight like her mentor Serene, and then eventually pass down any knowledge she gains to the next generation. Marisa remarks that she has no real goal in her life other than her swordsmanship, and Tana remarks that such a dream is just fine, but maybe in Marisa's pure dedication to it, she's becoming too focused on it, saying that she might not realize she's reached her goal when she reaches it. And from there, a genuine friendship is formed, as Tana says that Marisa can afford to have a friend or two on her journey, and Marisa says that that's actually not that bad of an idea. It's a cute little friendship, nothing too serious, but it shows off some good sides for both characters. For Tana, it shows that she's not just some ditzy princess with her head in the clouds like she can come off in her introductions. She knows what she wants out of life and has actually given it some serious thought, as I'm sure her brother Inez wouldn't actually believe. And for Marisa, it shows that despite being this intimidating swordswoman of world renown, she's a human being. She wants companionship, she wants friendship, and even if she doesn't realize it, when friendship comes at her door, she's more than welcome to let it in. It's a side that you wouldn't expect just from her introductions alone. That, and there is this really funny line that I enjoy. At first, I thought you were brusque and maybe a little intimidating too. But you're not like that at all. You're just shy and a poor conversationalist. You know, many of my fellow swordsmen still fear me. I'm sure they do. Jokes about how a genuinely kind and sweet-hearted person doesn't realize they're being rude as shit always get me. I don't know what it is, I just find those jokes funny. Going back to Marisa's dream of perfecting her swordplay, it's motivated by a bit more than just survival. Though that is a big part of it, her real motivation comes from her father. Because it turns out he's a lot more than just a dude that put swords by her bed when she was a child. Her support with Calm is actually about her father, at the end of it. At first, it's a simple joke. Calm is looking for this supposed horrifying swordswoman who kills anyone for daring to talk to her, and he doesn't realize that he's talking about embellished rumors of Marisa, who he's literally talking to. Funny joke, funny payoff, but Calm notices that it looks like Marisa's head's in the clouds when she's fighting. Not in the sense that she's not paying attention, but more so in the sense that it looks like she's fighting something else other than the enemy in front of her. As part of Calm's character is that he is very observant, though comically inept at dealing with people. He's got some good supports, I'd recommend reading them. That aside, Marisa says that the thing she's actually fighting is her father's shadow, saying that he was a world-famous mercenary and one of the greatest in all of Johanna, and that she wants to surpass him and prove that she's a true swordsmaster. I wouldn't go so far as to say her motivation is some kind of inferiority complex, but it's definitely driven by the fact that she feels her father's better than her, and she wants to overcome him. It might not be the most complex or original reason to want to be better at your craft, but trying to be better than the people that came before you is one of the most basic motivators at anyone who do some skill-based performance. The football players of today want to be better than the football players of yesterday. Sometimes an identifiable motivation is all you need to give a character, even if it's not the most complex. I'm gonna move past her Joshua support pretty quickly. It's a fine support, but it's one of those where it's much more about one character than the other, which is fine. There are a ton of supports where one character just serves as a vessel for the other to talk about their backstory or their own motivations. This is a very good support for Joshua, but Marisa doesn't really do much in it other than get challenged to sword fights by him. It's a fine support for sure, but it doesn't really have anything for Marisa, so I'm just going to be moving past it. And her final support I'm going over is with Gerik. And it's honestly a much more lighthearted and fun support than any of her other ones, which I think is fine. Marisa has her supports with Tethys and Calm to be serious and about her motivations and character, and Gerik has his supports with Saleh and Inez for him to be serious. This one is just two characters bouncing off of each other in a fun way. It starts with Gerik being a good boss, checking in on her, making sure everything's okay with her, and then it goes to him saying she should try to be more sociable, given that her usual disposition makes her pretty hard to work with for people that don't know her like Gerik and Tethys. The B support is Marisa trying to be sociable, but she kind of completely misunderstands what Gerik is going for and ends up looking really silly, and Gerik laughs at her. And in the A support, he feels genuinely bad that he hurt her feelings, and the two make up, and it's very simple, sweet, and effective. Nothing crazy goes on. I guess if anything from an analytical standpoint it shows the kind of man Gerik is, but for Marisa, it's just a nice relationship. It's cute, it's not really anything more than that, but doesn't need to be anything more than that. All three of Marisa's endings in the game have her using her swordplay for the rest of her life, becoming a famous military commander in her solo ending, becoming a fencing instructor and starting a romantic relationship with Gerik in her ending with him, and becoming one of the best swordswomen for the Royal Crown in her ending with Joshua. No matter what, she does achieve her goal of being an incredible swordsman in one way or another, and I think that's really cool. Marisa is a character that mostly gets written off because of her god-awful unit performance, and while that can create some dissonance with the viewer as it clashes with how talked up she is in canon, I think it still makes for a very effective character. A little bit of subtlety to her, a little bit of simplicity to her. I think Marisa shows what Sacred Stones does best. Really good character writing. Though I do feel like she really should have been a pre-promoted swordsmaster. Coming in as an unpromoted Myrmidon at the point she does on either route, I just don't get what they were thinking there. But hey, if I programmed the game, Gilliam would be the best unit in the game, so, you know, what do I know? I would like to thank all of you very much for making it to the end of another character analysis video. With every episode, we are inching closer and closer to episode 100, and I do not know what I'm going to do when I reach that milestone. I'm just going to kind of wing it and hope I come up with something clever by then. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff, tell your friends, and consider joining my Patreon, where you can help support the channel for as little as $3 a month. It's never required, I would never make you feel bad for not doing it, but if you don't do it, you basically hate me and never want to see me prosper. My patrons include the likes of Adebayo Thompson, Alex Aureliga, Amu is not beating the Tails allegations, Andrew Crockett, Bean Juice, Benz Again, Hell on Heelys, Jae Hyun, Despacito 2, Larmachi, Lysevening Bolt, Marth War Criminal, Morga Lorgan, Played Arrow, Played is pronounced like the pattern, Ranger Man Sam, Sean Vossi, Shen Lu, Veery the Artist, Ya Girl Owen, Brentendo11, Drew Hack, Fireman Lord, Ginger, Goo Gaga, Cornelia Milkers 92, Inverse, Lev Maverick, Maple Knight, Sombret, and Upscale Furry Trash. Thank you all for your continued support. And if you don't want to join the Patreon, please consider joining my Discord server. The link to it's in the description below, as is my Patreon, and we like to have fun there. You're seeing some bits from it right now. Please consider stopping in. Until next time.